features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Now we've just found a pride of lions. They've got up and they started to move around. This is very exciting, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
You are live.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is Senzo. Now, you've joined us at the perfect time. We have got a school drive this afternoon. Welcome to the Arthur Ashe Elementary. Lovely to have all of you with us. Don't forget, give your questions to your teacher and she'll send them to us and we'll gladly answer them. Now, you've joined us at a very exciting time. We've just got out of camp. We've been driving around. We found this pride of lions just in time because they actually started moving around. Now, it's a cool afternoon. It's about 26 degrees Celsius or about 70, I think it's 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is cool. It's not too hot. Now, these lions have actually spotted some animals in the distance. I'm not sure if they are hunting yet, but these lionesses look like they are potentially hungry and looking to try and hunt something. This is very exciting. For the rest of our viewers, don't forget, we are live, so send us your questions. Hashtag Safari Live is how you do it via Twitter, and we will gladly answer them. Now, it's just myself out at the moment. Unfortunately, one of our cameramen, Craig, is just in town, but he will be back hopefully within the next half an hour, 45 minutes, and we'll get Taylor out on drive too. But for now, this is exciting, so it's perfect. You're going to stay with me. We're watching these lions. Now, I wonder where the rest of the pride is. They were all moving through this thick area behind us, but it's very, very dense, very thick, and their camouflage is perfect for this time of the year. Now, we are in our winter months, and you can see how these lions blend in so well to their surroundings. Now, if they are stalking prey, something to try and hunt, they will try use the cover, try use their camouflage to get very, very close, and then maybe hunt. Now, let's see, which way are they going? Oh, you see, this lioness definitely looks like she's interested in hunting. You see how she's slinking away? Now, she's doing that to try and use cover and potentially go around. I'm not sure where the other lionesses are. We'll keep an eye on them and see what they decide to do. Mattia, so the lionesses, or how I can tell that this is a female lion, is she does not have a mane. With the lions, the big males have got beautiful big manes, thick set of hair around the neck and head. This female doesn't have any. The females don't have the thick set of hair. I'll just keep a good eye on her and see where she is, where she's going. But look how well she's camouflaged. She's probably going to cross the road behind us. So let's see. Might get a nice view of her shortly. There we go. She's probably going to cross shortly. There she goes. Yep. See, that was exciting. Okay, now I'm going to try keep an eye on her. I don't know where these other lions are. We'll try have a look. Erica, you asked how do these lions or animals survive in the habitat? Well, Erica, this is a natural habitat. So these animals are all have the ability to find food, find water. They're very intelligent. I'm just trying to have a look now. Sorry everyone, this is going to be tricky because this lioness is so well camouflaged and I don't want to lose her because I'd like to see if she does try to hunt. So Erica, all these animals, they survive in this terrain, in the landscape, in the habitat, in the ecosystem, because this is what they are made for. They know how to find food, they know how to find water, and they are completely self-sufficient. It means they can look after themselves. Now, I can't see where she has disappeared to. And I don't know where the others are. I wonder if they aren't perhaps further ahead. Because in this pride of lions, this group, this family group or pride, there are I think they possibly saw the lions already. There were giraffe ahead. Look, there they go, there they go. See the giraffe? Try to fix that colour a bit, Senzo, if we can. See the giraffe, so I wonder if these lions, they must have seen the giraffe. Now, unless it's a very experienced pride, it's very difficult to hunt something as big as a giraffe. Oh, here comes another lioness. Here come two more lionesses behind me. There we go. See there the others, and they've obviously seen the giraffe too. Their eyesight is very good. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? See how they're stalking. Now the thing is, what's very clever is that one lioness circled around. So there's a possibility she might try chase, whether it was the giraffe or if the impala, I'm not sure if they saw any other animals, may try and chase them towards these two lionesses that might lie in ambush. Sometimes the lions do that. Now, lions are not always successful when they hunt. It does take them a few chances before they eventually catch prey. But we need to remember, everyone, this is nature. Here they go. Here they go. They're starting to run. Let's just see where they're going. There they go. Watch. Look at that lioness run. This is very exciting. They've clearly seen something. I'm not sure if that other lioness tried to chase the giraffe or if these lions just saw the giraffe running. Let's have a look. Try to get through these bushes here. Destiny, you asked if cheetahs also live in this area. Destiny, they do. We do have cheetah in Africa, and especially this part of Africa where we are. We are right up in the northeastern part of South Africa, so right at the bottom of Africa, and we are in an area known as the Greater Kruger National Park. So there is an abundance of wildlife, lots of different animals, all the predators, lions, cheetah, and leopards. We saw wild dogs yesterday. I can see the other lioness now. So all three of them are here. So let's have a look. Here we go. This is very exciting, everyone. We do not get to see this every day. Lions on the hunt. There's another lioness walking next to me. Watch out, look out. Wow, very, very close to us. See, I'll just keep my voice down a little bit. I don't want to disturb them. But look how they are looking around for food. Now, Benjamin, you asked if there's snakes here. There are snakes that we do get around too. But now in winter, we don't really see many snakes. They hibernate. They don't like the cold. So in summer, that's generally when we see snakes. Well, I can't believe how lucky we are to see these lions moving around and possibly trying to stalk and find prey. They do look quite hungry. If you look at this female next to me, you can see her stomach is quite thin. Not overly thin. She doesn't look like she is in bad condition, put it that way. But you can see they are hungry, and they do want to try and get some food. Now, where they are going, these lions, straight ahead, not far from here, there's actually a little clearing, a clear open area, and there are also there is also a water hole or a little dam with water. So a lot of animals go there to drink. So these lions are clever. By heading in that direction, they've already seen some giraffe. Now the chances are there's possibly some other animals hanging around the water hole. So these lions are interested in hunting, and it just shows you. Sometimes people think that lions only hunt at night, but if they hear animals or see animals, they will possibly try hunt during the day too. You can see they're settling down now, and I think the reason for that is because the prey or the giraffe that they saw have moved off. They obviously either smelt or saw the lions. And giraffe have got incredible eyesight. This is amazing, very exciting. Wonderful, wonderful start to the afternoon. But you can see how muscular and strong those lions are. The definition in their body. Very powerful cats. Now these lions are part of a pride, as I mentioned. And there's some young ones that are right next to us. These are the cubs of these lions. They are quite big already. So they're not too young, but you see how clever they are. They know to hang back when the mothers are looking to try get food. So they don't disturb them. So that's why they're a little bit further behind them. But the rest are coming soon. They're all coming out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be 6. Wow, we are completely surrounded by lions now. Yep, all 6 of the young ones are now here, and we've got the 4 females lying around just in front of us. Miss Dugan, you asked how many lions are usually in a group or in a pride. It's known as a pride of lions. Now, it all depends. It varies. You can sometimes have a small group of 2 or 3 lions together. And in some parts of Africa, you can get prides up to 20 or 25 lions, some really big prides. Now, this pride that we have, it's 4 females and 6 youngsters. Now, there's not a big dominant male with them at the moment. There was this morning, I think. But what happens is, in this area, there's not just one male. There's actually a coalition or a group of 4 brothers, 4 big dominant males that patrol this whole territory, this whole area, and they are the ones that meet up with this pride from time to time. So they don't stay with them all the time, but they are occasionally around, and they do meet up with them, especially when these lions make a kill. The reason for that is because the males know that if the females make a kill, it's very easy for them to come and steal or take some of the food before the lions feed. Look at that beautiful mouth and face. Now we've got a lovely view of all 4 females ahead of us. Look, they're actually greeting one another. That one lioness was just rubbing up against the other one there. All 4 of them lying out in the open. Miss Sims, you asked how long does it take these lions to actually hunt their prey or hunt for their food. Now it can vary. Oh wow, everyone, hang on a second. Behind us there are 2 very, very big male lions. Now I can't move because I'm surrounded by lions, but I'm hoping these males do head this way and walk past us. So we'll sit here and wait and just see. So Miss Sims, it can take anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 hours for lions to hunt. It all depends. As I said, they're not always lucky or opportunistic when they they're not always lucky or successful when they are hunting. It can take some time. It can take a lot of effort. And if the lions try 5 or 6 times to hunt, they might only catch something once out of those opportunities. Ms. Dugan, you asked how fast do they run when they are chasing prey. Now, lions can charge very, very quickly. They can't keep their speed up for long distances, but they can run probably about 30 or 40 meters very, very quickly, or 50 meters. So they can run at a speed of about 20 to 22 meters per second. So to give you an idea, if you think of Usain Bolt, the fastest sprinter in the world, he runs 100 meters in about 9 seconds. These lions will do it in about 5 seconds. That will give you an idea of how fast they actually are. Less, actually, about 4 or 5 seconds. Very, very fast. Now, I'm just waiting for these other young lions to move, and I'll reposition for us so we can have a look at these beautiful big males who are behind us. Oh, there we go. That one's moving there. That's all right. Give me a second. I'm going to try to move quickly. Now, if these lions did try to hunt a big giraffe, just have a look. There we go. There we go. Now we can have a beautiful view of one of the big males. They're both back there. The one's lying down at the moment, but the other one's out in the open. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? So as I was saying, with these big males being close to the females, they will help the females hunt something as large as a giraffe. So if the females did grab one, I'm sure these males would try and help them. Oh, excuse me a second, I just want to jump on the radio. Good afternoon, Henry at Byron here. We've just located on the Nkuhuma Pride and 2 coalition members. They just got up and they're moving towards Vuyatela Dam. They're just off that Vulture's Nest Road, just to the kind of north of that, if you are interested in joining, just myself here. Okay, copy. See those big males? Look at them go. They are magnificent. Now, some of you were wondering how we tell the difference between males and females. You can see now clearly the big males with that beautiful mane, that very thick mane around the head and neck. A lot of hair. Now, the reason for that is to protect themselves. If these males get into a fight with one another, which they often do, and when they need to protect their territory or their home, they will fight with other males, and that thick set of hair around the neck and the head protects them from any serious injuries from them biting one another. So as I said, these males, these two, and I'm surprised they're with the pride at the moment, but these two males are part of a coalition or a group of 4 brothers. But what happens is these males move around, sometimes alone, sometimes 2 or 3 of them together, and occasionally all 4 together. Now the reason for that is they protect their home or their territory against other lions. They don't want other males coming into this area and challenging them. So these males, by sticking together, they can keep out other males. Now when they do fight, they can get very aggressive, and it's often either hitting each other with their paws and their sharp claws, or biting one another with those sharp teeth that you could see from that lion yawning over there. Miss Boyce, you asked, where do the lions sleep in the wild? Well, anywhere really. When they are moving around, if they do decide to rest, which they usually rest during the day, because that's usually when it is warm, the temperatures are hot. The lions don't like to move around if it's too hot. So what they do is they will go and rest in the shade and sleep and conserve their energy until the evenings when they start moving around a lot. Now at the moment we're very fortunate, and I think it's because it's a cooler afternoon. You can see that male lifted his head up. He can see the lionesses moving off. That's why he's following them. Look at that. Oh wow, this is such a lovely view. Watch him walking towards us. And as I was saying, the thing with these lions and the males following the pride is they know that there's potentially going to be some food. But Miss Boyce, as I was saying, they can also sleep just about anywhere they want. At night they'll move around. Look how close he is. Very, very close to us. Amazing, amazing to get this close to a big male lion. He is huge. He's very, very big. So at night they'll move around a lot. They may choose to rest at times, but generally they're very active at night. I want to keep an eye on those females actually. I'll tell you why. It's because with the females, they're the ones who do the hunting. So if I keep an eye on them, the rest of the pride will eventually follow. Alright, let's follow those 2 females because they're the ones who look quite hungry and they look like they want to hunt. Right, so one of my friends is also out on safari at the moment, but he is all the way in East Africa, so very, very far from where we are, and that is James, and he wants to say good afternoon to you.
Hello everybody and welcome to Kenya, 2,500 miles from where you've been watching that spectacularly beautiful lioness and her little cubbies. It's very nice to have you with us, and remember you can ask us any questions you like. My name is James Hendry and I am sitting up in the migration control room in the Masai Mara. Now we're going to take you down to the river where we've got lots of beautiful hippopotamus. Look, there they are. They're sitting under the water, even though it's a chilly day here, you know. It's probably only about, I'd say not much more than 60 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And those hippos still like to be in the water because, you know what, they're really, really very fat indeed. And that keeps them nice and warm. Now, you can't see me, of course, but you can't see me because I'm sitting a long way away from this river. And I'll show you where I'm sitting a little bit later. Now, Mrs. Dugan, you may have heard me say that the temperature here is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's probably what it is. It might be up to 65, but there's a chilly wind blowing, which always makes it feel that much colder. Now, what we have here, everybody, is a river crossing. Now, what does that mean if there's nothing crossing it? Well, this is the very famous Mara River in Kenya. And in the Mara River, it has, well, there are many, many stories about the Mara River, but the biggest story, of course, is that of the Wildebeest migration and the crossings that those wildebeest make over this river again and again and again, hoping not to be eaten by something I've just spotted over here, I think. Is that one? No, I think that's just mud. But somewhere lurking in this river, everybody, is a great big group of crocodiles, and those crocodiles wait for the wildebeest. There's one. For the wildebeest and the zebra and the Thompson's gazelles and the topi and the eland to try and cross the river, and then they eat them. Look at this enormous crocodile. Now he's swimming very, very slowly upstream, and it's cold for him too, and so he won't be moving very fast. But this crocodile will weigh, well, probably as much as 1,600 pounds. Can you believe it? That's an enormous amount. He's got a huge big head that's probably about the size of, I don't know, I'm going to say if you're 9 and 10 years old, it's probably about the same size as your body from the tip of your head down to your waist. So he's a huge fellow, and probably about, I don't know, maybe about 9 or 10 feet long, up to 12 feet sometimes. Isn't he huge? Look at his eyes, just only slightly open as he watches where he's going. He'll be using his sense of smell probably much more than he's using his sense of sight to see where he's going. Now, Jonah, you are wondering why hippos open their mouths so wide. Well, Jonah, that's a very good question for someone of your name, of course, because I'm sure you know the story of Jonah who was swallowed by the whale. So perhaps you're worried that one day you might be swallowed by a hippopotamus. Don't worry, you will not be swallowed by a hippopotamus. They open their mouths so very wide, Jonah, because... Let me try and find your hippo again. Because what they do is... sometimes they're just yawning, like when you're tired, but often it's when they are trying to show other hippopotamus that this is their area. So they show that this is my area, and look how big my teeth are, and I want you to go away. So that's why they do that. These guys seem to be very calm indeed. Now, Destiny, you want to know how hippopotamus defend themselves, and the next time you come back to Kenya, after I've sent you back to South Africa, I'm going to show you some special skulls and things that we have over here, and then I will be able to show you the teeth that the hippopotamus have, and that's how they defend themselves. Can we go across to Dusty Crossing, please? Yeah, we have another crossing point, and I'm just wondering, we had some hippos fighting here earlier. And they've got huge big teeth, about the size of your forearm, believe it or not. And I'll show you those the next time you come across to me here. Isn't that lovely? We've got a beautiful bird sitting there. No wildebeest and zebra are crossing the rivers today because it's just a little bit cold. Now that bird is called a yellow-billed stork. Amira, you want to know what kind of birds live in Africa? Well, Amira, there's one of them. That is a yellow-billed stork. And Amira, there are more than 1,200 species of bird that live here in Africa, so I can't really tell you all of them. But you get eagles and vultures and buzzards and storks and herons and sparrows and grenadiers and finches and sunbirds and testiculars and larks and warblers and parrots and lovebirds and turacos and stints and petrels and lots of different kinds of birds. You can see about 1,400 different kinds in Africa. Remember, Africa is much, much bigger than the United States. And so you know how many birds there are just in your small part of the United States. So you can imagine how many there are here in Africa, where there are not nearly so many people per square unit of area, which you don't need to worry about. Okay, that is the yellow-billed stork. Let's go back to Byron. I'll try and fix some skulls for you to look at next time you come here.
It's so nice to have James all the way in East Africa finding wonderful and amazing animals up there. Now we're still sitting with these lions, but they've decided to lie down, and they are looking around though. They are looking for food. So hopefully they find something. Have a look at this lion. Makia, now you were asking about lions if they only eat meat or also the bones. So when they do catch something, if they do catch something, they are feeding on it. Then they will feed on just about all of it except the big bones. They do crunch through some of the smaller bones, but the really big bones, it's not that easy for them to eat, and they won't necessarily prefer all the meat. But have a look, these lions are definitely interested in trying to find something to eat. Erica, it takes about 2 years, maybe actually more, 2.5 years before young lion cubs are able to hunt with the adults. At least 2.5 years. I have seen lions at about 2 years trying to help, but they're not experienced enough yet. So a little bit longer, then they will be able to hunt with the females. I just want to chat to some of the other guides quickly on the radio. The stations, sorry, just an update. The Nkuhuma Pride are slowly mobile in an easterly direction. They're approaching Twin Dams Road, junction Vulture's Nest. Just myself in this position. I think Henry's making his way as a second. Now you see how these lions are scanning very, very carefully through the bush, having a look to see if they find any movement, any sign of animals that they can possibly try to hunt. This is really exciting, everyone, and it's so special. We don't often get to see lions hunting. Well, not in this area at least. You need to be very, very patient, and you need to sit with them for a long time before you are able to see them hunt. Let me try reposition, get a better view of them, get a little bit closer. And also, but you see, also what I'm going to do is I don't want to get too close, because I don't want to disturb these lions if they are hunting. I don't want to disturb them and cause them to miss their chance of hunting if they are looking for prey. But you see, look how intense these lions are looking into the bush. Now, Destiny, you asked what role do these female lions play in nature? Now, they play a big role in terms of the predators control the numbers of the herbivores. So all the other animals, there needs to be a balance. So by these lions hunting, they control the numbers of the other animals naturally, so that you don't get what we call overpopulation. If you had too many herbivores, they will eat all the trees, all the grass, and eventually it would cause a problem. So the predators are a vital role in nature, with them hunting, and if they kill a few herbivores like impala, for example, or some of the other animals like zebra or wildebeest, the reason they are killing them is to feed themselves, obviously, but then also they maintain a balance, a natural balance, so that the animals don't get overpopulated and cause destruction in the bush. So it's very important to have predators around. Now our friend James is still in the studio now in the Masai Mara, and he's got some wonderful skulls he would like to show you.
Thinking. Right, everybody, I told you that I would show you a skull or two, and here we have one. This is an enormous crocodile skull, and can you see how very big it is? It's almost the same length as my arm, if you can believe it. And look at the size of the teeth on this fellow. Let me climb up here and show you. So, here are his teeth. That's my baby finger. So that's about the same length as his big tooth there. And you can see, very scary creature indeed, not something that you'd want to be caught by. And they, of course, like to eat wildebeest and zebra, and when they're very little, they eat fish, of course. But when they're big like this, then they eat wildebeest, like this, and zebra. I don't have a zebra with me at the moment, and topi and eland and all sorts of delicious things like that. Well, they're delicious if you're a crocodile. Then we had a question a little bit earlier about how big or how hippo defend themselves. Well, here you can see how a hippo would defend itself. Look at these enormous teeth here, and I said that they were probably about the same length as your forearm. Well, there's my arm sitting next to the tooth of this hippopotamus. Now, I am a fully grown man, not a very big fully grown man, but a fair size, and if you're 9 or 10, you'll find that that's about the same length as your forearm. So you can imagine, look how big it is, it's enormous. You can imagine that very few things are going to be brave enough to take on a hippopotamus. You see how very big it is? I think it's really amazing. Oh, it's very heavy as well. So that's the bottom jaw of a hippopotamus. And Taylor, you might think to yourself, well, Jalen, you might think, what does the hippo eat with big teeth like that? Well, while you look at that, I'll show you that it's got quite interesting teeth. And the teeth are interesting because while it looks like, with big teeth like it has, it might eat meat. It doesn't eat meat, you know. These teeth, these big teeth, are only for defense. If you look at the teeth here, you can see that it spends a lot of time eating grass. That's what teeth like that are for. You can see them grinding the grass away, and that's what those are for. Now let's see if we can't put this on top, and we can see if we can make our hippo yawn, like many of you know a hippo can do. It's not very easy to make the thing sit right. There we go. Alright, so when his jaws are closed like that, as they are almost now, I haven't got it quite straight. There we go. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? Now, Jonah, you too, as I open the hippo's mouth, worried again, perhaps about being swallowed like Jonah and his whale. You say, how do you tell the difference between a crocodile and an alligator? Well, if we look at the crocodile here, you will see that it has got what we call a very rounded snout, okay, at the front. An alligator's got a slightly sharper snout. It doesn't have nearly as wide a skull. Now, of course, this is difficult to answer because this is an old crocodile, which means that the skull is wider than it would have been on a young crocodile. So I suppose you might confuse a young crocodile skull for a big alligator skull. But in general, a crocodile is bigger. They are heavier and they're actually more dangerous to human beings. Alligators, yes, of course, they can damage people, but crocodiles eat a lot of human beings in Africa every single year, and are far more than alligators eat people, I think. So those are the main differences, but they're pretty closely related. They're not very far distantly related from each other at all. And they're very heavy, you know. I mean, the weight of that crocodile's skull is probably, well, I would say it's probably pushing about 30 pounds or so, and so you can imagine trying to carry that on your back, an enormous thing indeed. Now, Miss Dugan, you want to know, are animals used to people being around them in the wild? Well, Miss Dugan, yes, they are. You've seen that Byron is next to one of the world's most terrifying predators. That, of course, is a lioness, and the lioness doesn't care about Byron at all, and that's not because of Byron. It's because the lioness doesn't see us as a threat, and it also doesn't see us as something to eat. So it just sees us as a sort of passing piece of the world that it doesn't have to worry about. And that's because we spent time with them, often from when they were very little. So I'm not sure if you saw the little cubs earlier. I think you did. But those cubs will grow up with cars around them. And so when they're adults, they won't be afraid of cars, and therefore their youngsters won't be afraid. Alrighty, that's it from here. We'll put these back on the wall. While we do that, let's head back to Byron.
Three of these lionesses have moved off. They're moving through some thicker bush at the moment. Now, the reason why the lions do that is, of course, because they prefer moving through the thicker bush so they can hide and ambush their prey. So they want to sneak up and launch themselves out of the bush, use the element of surprise to be able to hunt. So that's why they've decided to move through this thicker area off to our right. I can't actually see them now. They've moved off through here. You can see very, very thick area, and they're moving down, possibly looking for some animals. But the rest of the pride is still the back. I'm still back here with the two big males. There comes a little young one now through there, and there's still a lioness lying in the shade, but there comes a youngster, and they'll just follow the pride. They'll follow the females, just make sure they can see them, and if they do hunt, the whole pride will run in very quickly to try and get some of that meat. Dominique, you asked how long lions live. Well, on average, lionesses can live to about 14 or 15 years old. That's an average age for a lioness. For the males, it's about 10 to 12 years. But it does depend. Sometimes if prides do very, very well, they don't have a lot of competition, there's a lot of food and water around, then they can maybe live a bit longer, Dominique. But generally, 14 or 15 years old for females, and about 10 to 12 years old for males. That's a beautiful view of that lioness. Just scanning to see if any of the others are coming through there. There we go, there's one of the youngsters. There's another one moving behind. Alright, well, this has been a very, very exciting start to our afternoon, and especially for our school drive. I hope you have all enjoyed this, and that it's so great you got a chance to see lions possibly hunting, and the way they move, how the females try and go up ahead, try and catch prey, the youngsters and the males following to hopefully get some of that food a little bit later. Now, we are going to say goodbye to our school. Thank you very much, Arthur Ashe Elementary. So lovely to have you. Thank you for your questions, and we'll hopefully see you again on Safari Live soon. We're going to carry on with the show, though, and we'll see the rest of you shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Well, that's the end of the school drive, and don't forget, the rest of you can still send questions and comments via Twitter. Hashtag Safari Live is how you do it, and we'll gladly answer them for you. Now, what a great start to the afternoon. Very, very exciting. I must admit, I thought these lionesses were going to try go for those giraffe that we had earlier, but the giraffe seemed to have spotted them and ran off quite quickly. They did not hang around. I heard one or two impala alarm calling behind us in the drainage line. The rest of the lionesses have moved down towards the drainage line, possibly trying to rely more on the thicket to stalk prey. But we can't see them now, and we won't be able to get down there either. It's quite thick, but we'll have a look and see. I think as if we hear anything from these lions, potential hunt, the rest of the pride will run in and we should be able to find them. Now the question is, are they going to cross through the drainage line and go out onto the other side, or are they going to walk through the drainage line for a little while? I'm not sure. I think what I may do is I may decide to drive around and wait on the other side and just see if they do come out there. Can hear a bearded woodpecker busy knocking away in the distance. It's got that very distinct knocking sound. It's territorial knock. So not necessarily looking for food, just a territorial knock. Tristan E, you asked if lions would also hunt during the rain. Yes, indeed. And you're a new viewer, Tristan E, so welcome to Safari Live. They will indeed hunt during the rain. Often lions prefer hunting in the rain, and I'll tell you why. It's because the rain masks their scent and also the sound that they make. So there's a lot of noise that they can use to basically hide themselves even better. So they'll rely on the noise and the fact that there's little to no scent being blown around. So animals would find it harder to pick up on the predators, and the lions will use that to their advantage, and they will hunt in those conditions. So they definitely do enjoy hunting during the rain. Not just lions, leopards too. I've seen leopards a few times, and generally after storms, windy conditions, we find lions and leopards do have, or would probably have made a kill in those types of conditions. Now, Naria, you were saying these lions are so majestic. They are indeed. There goes the other lioness. Now, like I said, I just want to make sure we know where these lions are going. We don't want to lose them. And moving down this drainage line will be very tricky for us to see them. Now, I wonder if they haven't crossed out already on the other side. I think what I may do is I may drive around so long. There are other vehicles around here. And they are going to sit with the lions on this side. So what does help is if we work together to try and find out exactly where these lions are going. If they've still got a view of them this side, I'll drive around quickly and head to the other side in case they come out. Then we shouldn't miss them. But if they stay this side, the other vehicles will let us know. So let's have a look. I'm just going to drive around quickly. We can go over the dam wall. Alright, well, let me head around quickly. While I do that, let's head back. James, I was going to think of something clever. I can't think of something clever now. I'm too busy worrying about these lions. Let's just go to James and see what he's doing in the Mara.
Of course, we're the normal Safari Live team. Hello to you all again. Now we're at the rivers. We're waiting for Scott Dyson to, well, basically wrap up his rain covers. It looks like it's stopped raining down there, but you can see very ominous skies indeed. We have the hippos there at the cul-de-sac crossing, and not much action going on at these crossings today. And I think that's probably largely as a function of the fact that, of course, it is just quite chilly. It looked like there was one crossing earlier on today, but it's a bit cold, as evidenced by the fact that the crocodilians are out of the water. There they are, all of them getting fat, putting on weight, and laying down reserves for the times when the migration won't be here. But the migration is here with a vengeance at the moment. It is right up close here with us in the northern Maran Triangle, and I spent a wonderful evening last night with lions hunting the Agama pride. And the most fascinating stories just are emerging as we spend more and more time with these animals. You know, extended periods. Scott has spent, and I'm sure he'll tell you about this a bit later, but he's spent probably close on 36 hours of the last 48 with cheetah, and they get up to all sorts of things. Lions tend to get up to very little, but when you actually do see them on the hunt, I became slightly convinced yesterday that they're not quite as dim-witted as they might seem at various stages, and I'll tell you about that at some stage when I can actually draw it for you or show you my animated face. Well, there you can see cul-de-sac crossing, not much going on. Let's go across to Dusty and see if we can at least find a bird. Can we go to Dusty Crossing? No? Has that little avenue of pleasure been closed off to me? Has it? Oh, there it is, thank goodness. Thank you, Kirsten. There we go. And I'm afraid not even a bird in sight. Although there are some people in sight, they must be thinking they're probably either looking at these hippo, or perhaps they're looking at something else, something that perhaps Scott is looking at.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome into the Masai Mara Valley floor. There is a lioness very, very close to a multitude of wildebeest and zebra, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, and also to see if there's more lion around. We've literally just arrived, and there's a bunch of other vehicles that were lucky enough to find this lion before us, so they're also enjoying the sighting. How does her belly look? Hard to be certain. I'd be surprised if she wasn't well fed, but that doesn't matter because she is simply so close to all these irresistible meals. She may well try her luck a little bit later. It's drizzling, so we've been battling the elements, and as I say that, you'll possibly start to hear the drizzle pitter-pattering down onto our canvas canopy roof. So I fear we may need to actually batten down the hatches shortly, because the rain has just started increasing, sadly. Hello to Christine. You would like to know, how often will lions hunt? It usually, in a normal scenario, depending on when they had their last decent meal, they can survive easily for 2 or 3 days and not be hugely compelled to hunt unless opportunities pass by. However, during the migration, because there are so many opportunities, lions will kill very often, and they may not even take a bite out of the animal they have killed. They just do it out of instinct. They know to take the opportunities when they come around, and the migration provides them with a surplus of opportunities. I've seen a lioness before, full-bellied. She looked like a balloon. She could barely move, yet some wildebeest moved towards her. She caught one, she walked off, and never went back to it. She left that for the vultures. So during the migration, you can get a lot of serious action. She's looking a little bit confused, this lady, as if she's looking possibly for some other pride members. Now, just to give you an idea, she's probably around 200 meters away from the closest wildebeest and zebra, so not very, very close, and these shots can sometimes be a little bit misleading as to how far away she actually is. She definitely appears to be looking back, possibly hoping that more pride members come and give her a hand. Or maybe she's got some cubs nearby that she's going to go and feed. Who knows? Good prospects, though. She is interestingly heading straight away. Oh, you can see she definitely appears to be lactating, judging by the way her lower back belly is swinging from side to side. She's also looking surprisingly hungry. So why are you heading away from all of these relatively easy meals? Well, we're going to definitely keep up with her and work out why she has surprised us by heading away from these wildebeest. And as soon as we get to the bottom of what exactly is going on, we'll be sure to call you back. I am just a little bit worried about the rain now, so we're probably going to have to put our flaps down, and we're going to send you back to Djuma with Byron, who's on the search for lions.
I am indeed, Scott. It's amazing that you've got lions all the way in East Africa. There you can see the male. We've also got lions down here in South Africa. And amazing to have this pride moving around. Now, I did see the females. They did cross through the drainage line a little. They still dotted around in this thicket just below us, in front of us. But we can see that big male out in the open there now. Now, there were some impala not far from here. Now we can see, I can just see a lioness moving through the grass. Nice thick area. The impala not too far. They were just out behind us in the clearing. Now it's a little bit open there. I'm not sure if these lions will have any luck trying to hunt because it is quite open there. There you can just see there's another lion straight through the bush, and they are so well camouflaged. This is always so exciting, and it just shows you though, lions will hunt during the day if they are hungry. They are very opportunistic. If they do want to find some food, they will go off and look. Now if these lions aren't lucky, I think they would most likely go and lie down and rest eventually. Rest for a little while and then eventually start moving later again and try their luck under the cover of darkness. Oh, where are they? There was a lioness moving through here, but I can't see her. It's amazing how well they can disappear, or how easily they can disappear. There we go. There we go. There's a lioness right here. Henry, if you copy, I've got visual again of these lionesses coming out this side. I wonder where those impala moved off to. It looked as if the impala, it's amazing. It's almost like the impala have got a sixth sense to when there are predators around, because there was one impala ewe that was staring in this direction. I don't think she had seen any of these lions yet, but staring and looking, and then decided to move off quite quickly. So amazing how I think these animals do have a sixth sense when there is potential danger around. There I can hear some alarm calls now. Now their eyesight is so good. Listen, you might actually hear the alarm calls. Let's listen for a second. And just the snorting of impala. Right past us. That is quite special. Just deciding to walk right past the vehicle. These hungry lions look a little bit like the Djuma staff, or the Safari Live staff this morning while I was preparing breakfast. Sitting around like a pride of hungry lions waiting for their breakfast. Fortunately, it went off pretty well, I think. I didn't have any complaints. I'll just sit very still as she walks past. Jennifer, you know what? I don't think hearing human voices would necessarily disturb the lions too much if we were in the distance. However, we are always as sensitive as possible, and if we see that the lions have locked onto a prey species of any kind, we will keep quiet. We will keep our distance so that we don't disturb them. Not just them. We also need to be conscious of the prey that they are potentially trying to hunt. We don't want to interfere, and we do not want to benefit either prey or predator. So we are very, very careful. We're very cautious. So if we can see that the lions have locked onto something, we'll hold our distance and try to keep our voices down so we don't disturb them, and then we'll just view and watch nature unfold. If anything does happen, great. If the lions are successful, if they're not successful, great for the prey species. So just having a look around here. They are behind us, just through the thicket. I don't know where the others are. It's a lovely, lovely afternoon, warm afternoon now. The sun shining, and it's amazing that these lions have decided to move in the warm afternoon. Oh wow, so it's nice and warm where we are, but apparently it's overcast and chilly up in the Masai Mara. I hope James is warm in his little control room.
Lucky old Byron, lucky, nice and warm here. Chilly, of course. There's this grey hooded kingfisher. That is a turn up for the books. Isn't he lovely? He's not really in focus, but he is very lovely. Let me try and focus him quickly. Hang on a minute. Wait a second, that's going the wrong way. I'm trying to do this manually. You see, what this thing does is it thinks that it's looking at the grass. It is, of course, mistaken. It is looking at the kingfisher. There we go. That's much better. Kirsten, we'll have no more comments from you about blurry safaris. Isn't he lovely? And he's got no idea he's being so closely observed. Ooh, that's nice and focused. Beautiful. Look at the wind just ruffling his little grey hood. And I tell you, what I like about these chaps is not so much the halcyon blue, which is very pretty, but it's that russet kind of reddish brown. You can see russet is reddish brown really underneath the blue there, and I think that makes them very attractive birds. There's some lovely purple flowers beyond. Watch, I'm going to do a focus pull. Kirsten, are you watching? Oh, ooh, there we go. Take that back. There we go. Oh, he's gone. Let's see if we can find him again. Put it back on autofocus. See if we can find what he's tried to catch. Maybe a frog, maybe an insect. Unlikely to be a fish, although they will eat fish, of course, if they can. There he is. No, that wasn't him. It was another bird. Anyway, that was the grey-hooded kingfisher. That's very nice indeed. Then we'll go across to our very favourite. Certainly Steph's very favourite, because Steph has spoken extensively of this bird, the yellow-billed stork. They're ever faithful, the yellow-billed stork, always fishing over here and helping us out when we don't have a huge amount else to show you right now. Scott, of course, would have a huge amount to show you, but oh, dislodged a fish. Come on, strike. But it started to rain down where Scott is, so that's why he's not with you at the moment. He is in amongst, of course, what might turn into a hunt fairly soon. So maybe if it stops, we'll be lucky. Come on, catch a feature for us. In amongst the martins that are flying around and swallows and, of course, the hippo in the background. I'm very glad I don't have to spend all day long in the water when it's cold like this. Sheena, you say, how do they catch fish? Is that what your question was? How do they hunt them? Well, this yellow-billed stork here is hunting fish basically by feel. So it will look as well, but the birds that often storks, and some of the herons too, will fish by basically feeling any disturbance that comes along through the water. So they've got specialized, I hesitate to use the term organ, but I guess they've got specialized nerve endings in their beaks, and they can feel the slightest movement. And then their reaction speed is enormously fast, and they snap that beak shut as soon as anything goes anywhere near it. Some birds, like the hammerkop, have got special sensors in their feet, and they use that to sort of sense if there's any movement in the mud through which they're walking. They, of course, eat frogs much more than they do fish. The stork is waiting very patiently for some fish, obviously thinking there's something to be had in that position. And I mean, it's a little bit like watching lions on the hunt. You just don't know what you're going to get, except that I suspect that a stork is a lot more successful every time it, well, snaps its beak shut than a lion is when it's on the hunt. Isn't that nice? Let's see what else we can find. There we go. Now, I'm just a bit sad that there aren't any crossings going on at the moment, but that is, of course, because the temperature is pretty chilly. So we'll zoom all the way around and then go around the other side. Jen, this is the second time I've been asked this, and the second time that I've had to answer in the negative. You say, is the river flowing more quickly today? A few days ago we had the same question, and Jen, it isn't. It's definitely flowing, I would say, more slowly than it has in the last week or so. Ooh, there's a very big crocodile. And I think the reason for that is that there hasn't been much rain in this area, but I think you'll find tomorrow it might be flowing a little bit more strongly. Struggling there with the current is this crocodilian. I wonder where he's going. Often crocodile movement like this up and down the river is a precursor to some sort of crossing somewhere. And unfortunately, two of our cameras at the crossings are down at the moment, and so it's quite difficult for us to show them all. We've only got the two. Now, quite astonishingly, Byron Sorrell has managed to find an enormous piece of green cheese.
It's the moon. It is the moon. When a the moon hits the sky like a big pit. Oh dear, alright. Anyway, yeah, beautiful view of the moon there. And I'm guessing in a few days, I'm trying to think now, probably in a week's time we'll have full moon. So we can walk around at night, exactly. Senzo. Now these lions have decided to lie down and rest, just as I thought. These two lionesses under the tree, they've now decided that they didn't have any luck. They didn't find anything moving through the thicket. So they're resting. The rest of the pride are still spread out, I think, through the drainage line behind us, or off to my right. There were the other lions following them, but these were the lionesses in front. And I think they've just decided to take a minute to rest, or take a few minutes to rest, and wait, possibly now, wait until the cover of darkness, and then try to hunt. But again, you never know. You never know. These lions are opportunistic. Maybe they're just waiting to see if there are some more impala that come through this area. There was a small group earlier that moved through, but they were just on the edge of a clearing, so it's a bit difficult for the lions to hunt them there, because they don't have that cover and the ability to ambush the impala. It's very open just on the edge of where we are now, and that's where the impala moved through. But luckily we've still got a nice view of them, and we can sit patiently. John, my understanding of the whiskers is that they're used for a number of things. For one, just like domestic cats, and that the lion's whiskers basically extend just towards the edge of the body. So if they're walking through thick areas, or they know if the whiskers touch, the body won't fit, for example. But they're very sensitive. The main reason is when they are hunting, especially, if they catch something, they will usually grab it by the throat, and you've seen that before. That's the way the lions hunt. They'll go for the jugular. They'll try and choke and suffocate their prey, and often what they can do is they'll pick up on the heartbeat or the pulse of their prey through those whiskers. So with the mouth resting on the whiskers, rest on the animal, they can pick up the vibrations of the heartbeat. Very sensitive whiskers, and then they know if it's alive or not. And I'm trying to think if there are any other uses for the whiskers. I think that's the main one I know. I don't know if there are any others. Maybe you can let me know if there are some others that you find. Any theories on the whiskers and what else they are used for. It's very peaceful sitting here with these lions. Surprising, you wouldn't think that you could use that term in the same sentence, peaceful and lions, but sitting with these lions now, it is very peaceful here. They've decided to rest. I don't know, I've got a feeling that we should actually decide. I think we should move on and return a little bit later, although you never know. And did that one lioness get up and move now? I'm trying to look. Senzo, can you see her on the other side there? Around that thicket. Oh, there she goes. That other lioness is still moving. Alright, so there goes that theory. They are still on the move. We're going to stick with them. We'll also see if there are other people that want to come and view them. We'll make space for them. obviously want all the guests in the area to see lions, and especially exciting sightings like this. We do need to be fair, but for the moment it's just us and one or two other vehicles, so there's no need for us to move for now. Beverly, you asked, would the engine noise be considered to be alarm calls for some of the animals? Beverly, I don't think so. I do know though that certain animals like hyena and that, if they pick up on a lot of vehicle movement, I think to an extent they do come in and investigate, because they associate the sound of the vehicles potentially with predators. Some of the hyenas have learnt that. It's learnt behavior. They know there might be a chance of a kill. And we saw it a little bit with the wild dogs yesterday. I also think though the crunching of the bones possibly alerted the hyena, and those high-pitched squeals from the wild dog. The hyena would have heard that, and I think that's why they came in. But very soon, there were 3 hyena that arrived. So it just shows you they pick up on any little sounds. The vehicles sometimes might alert animals that there's possibly something going on. I don't know if prey species associate predators with vehicles. I've tried to have a look and find out if animals keep watching the vehicles, or if they see a vehicle, if they think there's potential danger around. I haven't quite decided if that is the case yet. But look, the bottom line is we are something that is not meant to be here. Animals are going to notice us. We are going to draw attention. So, that's why we try to be sensitive, keep our distance away from predators, away from prey species, so we don't interfere, or as little as possible. But it is difficult at times, and at the end of the day, we are here to try and observe these animals and hopefully see their hunting strategy, or whether it be the prey getting away from predators. So we want to try and observe as much as possible, but also try remain sensitive. That's the key. Now those lionesses have just moved through that door. I'm going to try to get out here quickly so we can keep an eye on them. Now, God, you were asking if the animals can tell the difference between us and the Jeep or the Land Rover that we're on, and they definitely can. So I'm just trying to see how I'm going to get out here. I think they definitely can, and I'll tell you why. Now, most of the time when you go on safari, you get told in your safety briefing, please stay seated and you don't want to move, because the animals see the silhouette of the vehicle and the outline of the vehicle. Now that's true to an extent. However, I have seen a number of times animals walk past the vehicle and they look up at individuals on a vehicle. They can definitely see us on the vehicle, but I think they associate us with the vehicle, so they don't see us as a threat or as danger. Also, because we're sitting down, it's a bit better, because if you were standing up or if you're walking around, you stand out a lot more and you look like something different. You look like a predator to them. So animals will definitely react. I can just see one lioness walking through there. Animals will definitely react to you while you are standing or on 2 legs. You look completely different to anything else out here. But on a vehicle, they associate the people and the smells and the sounds with the vehicle. And that's why they've become somewhat habituated with us, and they don't mind us moving around. I'll just have a look over there. There's a herd of impala. Now but you see this bit of a clearing that we're on at the moment. Now that's just what I was saying. It would be difficult for the lions to hunt an impala out here unless they manage to sneak around a drainage line and ambush them from the other side. Now we'll try to see. I think these lions are generally heading in that direction. I can't see them now. There we go. There's one lioness. It's moving through there. Sorry, Senzo. I'm sending you backwards and forwards here. There's one lioness there, and I can see there is another lioness. She's going to be coming through behind that wattle shortly. Right, I'm going to sit and spend some more time with these lions. Now, as you all know, I prepared breakfast for the team this morning. I'm sure James is very upset that he missed it, but he's still enjoying a beautiful view in the Mara. Let's go and see what it looks like.
I'm on our way. You can see the rain is now teeming out of the sky. Can you see that, everybody? Those streaks that you can see in the background there is rain teeming out of the sky. I do think we need to give this lens a bit of a wash, which we'll try a little bit later. It seems a bit misty. That might just be on account of the fact that we're pretty much sitting in a cloud. Okay, I want to go and look down and show you how the migration herds have arrived in this area. You will notice, of course, that the last time I showed you this picture, or Steph showed it to you, or whoever showed it to you, there were no wildebeest on these hills at all. Well, there are some there. Now, that is not, as I have said many times, and so to the extent that it's become a bit of a cliche, 3 wildebeest do not a migration make, in the same way that 1 swallow does not a summer make. But as I pan from side to side, you will be able to see that the front runners of the wildebeest are definitely in this area, and I'll show you where I saw herds of, well, I'm going to guess that sitting at around 20 or 30,000 yesterday. And they were up in the marshlands over down yonder there. Beyond that line of green trees. That's a beautiful picture. I wonder why it looks like that. We'll try and fix that a little bit later. I think there's a bit of mist over the camera lens. Anyway, those were covered in wildebeest. And so there are lots up here at the moment. And I wonder if I shouldn't tell you, no, I believe Scott Dyson actually has some of the lions that are hunting right now.
So this is quite interesting. They've actually finished hunting wildebeest. We've just got a report that this is the Agama pride. So 4 lionesses and 13 cubs, and they've just made 4 kills, interestingly. My name's Scott. I'm teamed up with Ferg on camera, and it's good to have you back on our vehicle. The rain's thankfully stopped, and we can now show you what's going on here. Now, what appears to be the case is that these lionesses are calling very gently, oh, oh, trying to get their cubs to come out of their hiding places. Now, I'm guessing what has happened is that during the stampeding hooves of the wildebeest's escape, or at least for some of them, 4 of them were not so lucky, the cubs possibly bombshelled, terrified for their lives. These will all be new sounds and a spectacle that they have not experienced yet in their lives. So it must be quite intimidating. Imagine being a young, small cub in this very long grass with thundering hooves all around you and a cacophony of wildebeest speaking to one another. So we've had a visual so far of 3 lionesses. There's another one at about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the long grass there, Ferg, beyond that one. And the third one, I'm not sure where she's disappeared to. So there's a second individual, and they are all definitely looking for the cubs. And what I find fascinating is that their bellies are not full. So they've got these 4 kills dotted around somewhere around us here. I haven't seen one yet. One of the Agama guides was lucky enough to see all that action go down before we got here. How much longer before we got here, I'm not sure. But it appears that these lionesses are all more focused on looking for the cubs than having a meal. And that makes perfect sense, because they know they've got 4 tasty wildebeest cached somewhere in and around this little lugger system where they possibly did their hunting. Where could the cubs be? Now, I'm surprised that the cubs have not heard these contact calls and come running to their respective mothers. But it could be possibly because there is so much ambient sound of all these wildebeest calling around us that it's confusing them. That's all that I can think of.
It's interesting, I've never seen the Agama pride this far south along the escarpment, so this is a first for me. And what's another first for me, and I know you're discussing it with James, is how the wildebeest are moving further north into the area where our camp is. I haven't been in this area for quite a while because I've been on the other side of the river spending time with Chitwa, which has been most delightful. But I've been astonished to see how many wildebeest have moved into this area. It is quite something, and to be honest, it's quite hard for my little brain to process. And I guess that is the spectacle of the migration, just sheer numbers that are just hard to comprehend. What's going on here? She's seeming to have perked up a bit. The other lioness that we were looking at earlier has been working her way into this area. I'm told there's a lot of you who are concerned for the cubs, and rightfully so. They could well be trampled as the thousands of wildebeest stampeded off from their approaching mothers. But I'm guessing that they're all okay. That's just my guess and gut feel, and it's just that they got a little bit frightened when all the hunting was happening and all the thundering of hooves, and now they're possibly just bunkered down somewhere waiting for Mom to get a little bit closer. Hello to Francis in Israel. You interested to know whether hyenas could possibly find their kills? And yes, most certainly. There is a large population of hyena in and around the Masai Mara, varying depending on where exactly you are. But I'm almost certain the hyena, at some point in time, will come and, using their incredible sense of smell, detect that there are some meals to be had. But you can never be sure, as possibly the wind is not blowing in the right direction for any hyena nearby, or possibly they've had enough success making their own kills. Hyenas certainly can be very effective hunters, as and when they decide to be. Look at how well she blends in there. Whew. Awesome. You would not want to be a wildebeest with that approaching you. Imagine. Whew. The grass, I'm guessing, where she's walking is probably about 4 feet, 4.5 to 5 feet long. So perfect cover for creeping up on their prey. And that's possibly why each lioness, I'm guessing all 4 will be here, managed to get their own wildebeest. Where, I wonder, are the kills? And I'm also still very surprised that because they're not very intently, it's not like they're hugely concerned. I mean, they definitely are wanting to find their cubs, but they don't seem panicked by the situation. So I'm not sure why they haven't had a little snack yet, to be honest. There's absolutely no blood around their mouths, and certainly their bellies are not full. Hello to Cherry. You would like to know if the lions of the Masai Mara will hunt giraffe, and yes, I'm almost certain from time to time they will do a bit of giraffe hunting, and actually this very pride managed to catch and kill a baby giraffe, I think about 2 weeks ago. We didn't get to see it, but we did get a report from some of the Agama guides that did see that happen. So that is a giraffe. Of course, a baby giraffe is a lot different to a big giraffe because it doesn't pose the same threat, and it's far easier to bring down for lion. A fully grown giraffe, though, is a very dangerous animal to try and hunt, because one kick to the head and that could render a lion useless or dead immediately, or possibly just a stray hoof to the body somewhere. They will use their hoofs to try and defend themselves against lion. So what you tend to find is that large prides of lion in areas with not lots of other prey and lots of giraffe will tend to specialize in giraffe hunting. There's a pride of lion in the Kruger Park that I spent time with in and around the Mozambican border, called the Mountain Pride. It was a massive pride of lion at that time when I was there, about 28 of them, and they did specialize in hunting fully grown adult giraffe, but it's not something very common, Cherry. Okay, what are these lions going to do next? This one's been stationary for quite a while now, so I'm guessing she's going to possibly want to catch up with the other lioness that headed off in the direction that she's looking in. You can see her calling now. And that's what's called a contact call. Very soft. Ooh. Ooh. And from the distance she's at now, I doubt we'll be able to pick that audio up. Let's have a try though. Let's see if we can increase the volume and see if we can hear anything, and also to see if we can hear the gnu's that are all chittering and chattering behind us.
Oh well, good. I'm told you can hear them, so I'm going to keep very quiet for a while.